everybody, I wanted to make a video to help you better understand how to write songs and write parts with your Electribe. One of the questions I get a lot is, how do I write all of the parts for my tracks? People are sometimes surprised to know that the only thing I use for writing and sequencing is my Electribe. You may look at the Electribe and say, oh no, pads, I need a keyboard to write. But the Electribe is actually really powerful and well suited to writing melodic parts, basses, chords, everything you can think of. So I want to show you how you can use the settings in the Electribe to get that done more effectively, and how to use music theory with the Electribe, even if you don't know music theory, to write better parts. We're going to look at three options in the Electribe settings: key, scale, and chord set. And by understanding what these are and how to use them, we're going to be able to write better parts. So let's get into it. The first is key, and key defines what the root note of the scale of your pattern is. And by root note, we're going to mean the note that plays in keyboard mode in the bottom left pad here. Okay, so right now it's set to C. If I play a note here, that's a C. Okay, so if we were to set this to C sharp, that's C sharp. How do you pick what key to use? Well, it's both important and not important. It's important insofar as it's going to affect the sound of your track and its mood, but it's not important insofar as with the other options we're looking at in this video, no matter what key you pick, it's going to sound good. Okay, so you could start with C or D or whatever, get experience using it like this, and then you can go do research and find other keys for songs that you like and use those same keys. But the important part to remember is it'll always sound good. So that's key, bottom left note of the keyboard pad. So next, we'll look at scale. Scale is really the meat and potatoes. It's the most important part. And if you don't know any music theory, this may have scared you and you may have just left it at the default when you initialize the pattern. But this is really important. There's a bunch of options in here: Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Ionian. If you don't know any theory, those may sound weird. All right, but we're going to cut through it and we're going to remember two simple things. Aeolian is minor and Ionian is major. Aeolian minor, Ionian major. All you have to remember. 95% of pop music, and by pop music I mean anything that you probably like, no matter what genre it is written in either major or minor. Okay, and all you have to remember is major is happy, joyful, bright, airy, light, and minor is darker, introspective, deeper, things like that, right? And of course you can do anything with music, but if you remember those guidelines, it'll make it easier for you to pick the mood of your track, right? So let's say we wanted to work in C minor. Well, we already picked C. We will pick Aeolian, okay? So there we go. Now we know that this is C minor. What does that mean on the Electribe? Well, it means that the pads down here are only going to play notes in C minor. And as long as we're only playing notes in our scale, it's going to sound good together, right? So starting at our root note, we already know that is C, and then the rest of the notes on the scale. And then back to C. There are only ever 7 notes in a scale, so the 8th pad is just our root note an octave up. Okay? And looking at our keyboard more, we can see that the notes above, or the pad above the bottom pad, is the same note, again, an octave up. Okay, so that means that for things like bass parts and synth parts, for the kind of music that you're likely to play with an Electribe, being able to use those 2 octaves right there in front of you makes it really easy to play cool parts. You know, we do a lot of kind of jumping around in octaves in synth music, so that works really well. So now we have our key, we have our scale, and we have notes that no matter what we do are gonna sound good together, right? So then we can leverage that to write, say, like a bass part and a synth part. Let's try that. So kind of weird, but just doing something off the top of my head, didn't really think it through, didn't practice beforehand. So you can see that I just put the notes together almost randomly, and they still sounded okay together, right? We can do the same thing. We've got a lead part here. Okay. So not going to win a Grammy, it's not a cool to listen to track, but the important part to see is that there's no off notes. Nothing sounds wrong, right? If we hear it again, everything blends and it sounds in key. Right? And I was literally just playing random keys in a random order, okay? So that's why knowing this stuff is important, right? So if you understand the scale, and you understand the key, and you understand how the keyboard is laid out, you can play stuff and not have to worry too much. Am I picking the right notes? Does it work together? The other really important thing to know about the scale is that when you initialize a pattern, the Electribe sets it to Dorian by default. Dorian is neither major nor minor, and it doesn't quite sound right to our ears if we're mostly used to major and minor music, which most of us are. And so if you ever initialized a pattern and just started playing on the keyboard, it might not have sounded that good, right? So we know now Ionian and Aeolian, and we know how to set our key. So let's look at the last part, harmonic content, chords. So if we go over to this patch here and we hit chord, we can hear it's playing a chord. But if we play it along, it may not sound that good. Sounds okay, but there's something kind of missing. There's something we can't put our finger on, but it's not quite right. That's why we need to look at this last option, and that's chord set. Chord set defines what kind of chord it's going to play when you hit a pad in chord mode. Okay, and there's all different ways to play chords. The default that chord uses, 3, I'm not sure what it is, but I think it might just be fifths and octaves. And it just doesn't sound quite right. Doesn't quite work. But if you set it to 2, that gives us what's called the diatonic triads, okay? And you don't have to worry about that. It just means that it's going to be the major and minor chords, and augmented and diminished, but major and minor chords in our scale that sound good with our scale. And now we can write harmonic content to go with our song, and it's going to fit. So again, that's not a cool song, but it all sounds right. And we've got chords, and we've got a lead part, and we've got a bass, and it all melds and blends together. And if you were writing a cool track, if you were writing something you really care about, this would make it a lot easier. No missed notes. No trying to struggle to find out what chords to play or looking up what chords are available. No muddling through what is the scale, what are the right chords to play in this scale. It's all built into the Electribe, right? And if you use those options, I hope that you'll be able to produce music that you like, and you'll be able to get more out of your Electribe. So I hope that helped. Thank you for watching.